Welcome back to the Blue Stable Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a while. All right, okay. My ugly face is back now. Yeah, I feel really good to be in front of my guys here, Marcus, Landon. Welcome back to the Blue Stable. I know we've taken like a couple of weeks off. I've been gone for like maybe a month and a half. Sorry, been adulting, got a house, gotta, get with that. Got a new job, been hunkered down, getting back to the feel of things. But now, back in time, right before training camp starts. And speaking of training camp, there's always a mystery of how this 53-man roster will look. Will the undrafted free agent every year, will that, I think it actually already ended, but will that continue? Will it create a new streak? We will see. But opening up today, we're going to talk about Isaiah Rodgers because we weren't here to talk about that last week. We're going to talk about Isaiah Rodgers and what that could mean for the Colts and also him in the future. But before we do that, before we get to all of that, all right, in this show, we're going to do a live. We don't have our projections yet. We don't know who we're going to pick. We're going to talk about and discuss the 53-man roster pre-training camp. All right, this is an early 53-man roster projection, and this is going to be fun because normally we come up with our guys already in place, but we get to have a deep conversation about it. Before we get to that, Landon, Mark, love you guys. I've missed you guys. I've missed this show. I love this show. I love the Blue Stable. I love every single one of you watching and listening to this. I've missed you guys, and y'all have done a really good job since I've been gone. Had some really good shows. Marcus, always the neck muscles and the shoulders and everything. Landon, got the mythical blue background light, the great hat, the glasses, all right? Giving off grandpa vibes. But we got the brains back together, the Three Stooges, all right? Now, let's go ahead and talk about it, okay? Let's open up the show. Let's get right into Isaiah Rodgers here, guys. Woo! All right, unfortunately, now I was gone for this part of the show. You guys had talked about it about a month ago, but we're going to talk about it here a little bit. Isaiah Rodgers Sr. officially suspended and waived by the Indianapolis Colts. Waived by the Indianapolis Colts, suspended indefinitely by the NFL for violations to their NFL betting and gambling policy. He will be suspended indefinitely at the end of the 2023 season. However, at the end of it, the conclusion of it, he will be able to petition for reinstatement. More than likely, he will get the reinstatement because that's what Calvin Ridley got. That's what numerous other players got. Honestly, I hope he gets reinstated. He's too talented of a player to not be playing on Sundays, honestly. I wasn't really here to give my full thoughts on it. It's already water under the bridge. I'll just be really brief about it. I was disappointed like every single one of you guys. I was disappointed. I was annoyed, really very annoyed, because I don't know how you make that mistake knowing what the consequences are, and you've seen what the consequences are. I remember the day of all of it happening. There was a lot of people trying to get behind him and say, oh, we need to support him. He made a mistake. He made a dumb mistake. I was of the opinion that he didn't make a dumb mistake. He was being dumb, basically, because you have an agent, you have a NFLPA, you go through all these classes and everything, you go through all these meetings with your team, with your camp and everything about the rules, how to carry yourself. And he's been in the league, going into his fourth year, end of his rookie contract, and for some reason still did it. So, and it wasn't just him. It was Rashad Berry, of course, of the Indianapolis Colts, but also numerous other players that have done it. Like, that's one of the things that get me. If you know that it's against the rules and the fine or the penalty of violating said rule is a hefty price to pay, and you still do it, maybe thinking, he didn't do it right. I'm slick. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. I'm slick. I can get away with it. I'm me, right? I'm me. I'm Marcus. I'm Marcus. I can get away. I'm slick. I'm Landon. Got that Kentucky smoothness to him, right? Like, hey, you can get away with it. Look, he made his mistake. It's already a month past. I'm not going to make it a big deal. I'm rooting for Isaiah Rodgers. I hope he can get back on his feet. I hope he finds a way into the NFL again on another team. But unfortunately for him and the Colts, honestly, because he would have been a great guy to have in that locker room with Kenny Moore, with three rookies coming in, really could have been a mentor, especially a year after you spent with Stephon Gilmore, right? I mean, all the knowledge he learned from him, talks with Rodney McLeod. He was a safety. But again, some of those things intertwine with each other. Disappointed. But it does not stop the Colts from being the Colts. And honestly, before we move on, Marcus Landon, since he has officially been indefinitely suspended and waived by the Indianapolis Colts, any final words to Mr. Isaiah Rodgers?
Well, I hope I hope he takes this time out, mentally clear himself and prepare himself to bounce back because he's gonna be missing football for a while. So we know, you miss football for a while, maybe you lose a step or something like that. So hopefully he stays in shape and comes back even stronger than when he did before he left. And I hope he really learns his lesson from the situation. He's always gonna have a fan in me, Isaiah Rodgers Sr. for sure, because I was a huge fan of him before, everything happened. So even with the stipulations at hand, it won't change my outlook on him as a player in general on the field because he was a dog. So hopefully he can bounce back from the situation. Hopefully he can land in a good spot and, he doesn't lose a step. So I'll always be a fan regardless.
Yeah. So something I've thought a lot about with Isaiah Rodgers' situation is something that I try to live by, and like it's a saying that like I've really implemented in my life for years now, and that is that I never lose. I either win or I learn. So this is a situation now for him to decide. Obviously this isn't a win, so now you got to learn from it. So hopefully it's something that he learns from, and he's able to, bounce back. Unfortunately, probably not going to be for the Colts, which is really unfortunate because something like this that does happen is tough for a young team, and it's tough for the player, especially whenever you see guys committing way worse things that get way less of a penalty against them. It's tough to handle, and so probably what's going to happen is he'll set out a year, maybe two, we don't know, but whenever he does eventually get reinstated, which I do believe will happen, some team's going to pick him up, and it's going to be a team that values winning football games over little menial things like this that he didn't hurt anybody, nobody, nothing happened. So some team that values winning football games over this type of stuff will end up picking him up, and they'll have a very talented player in a position that's very important in this league. And so hopefully he can bounce back from that, land in a good situation, and which I think he will. And it's just unfortunate that the Colts, decided to part ways with him. But I understand the nature of the business, but it's just for a team that hasn't really won anything, in the last, decade, I would say, haven't won the division since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I, I I just think with talented players, it's tough to let them go and keep preaching the character thing because we've seen now that it does not translate to winning football games, which is what the name of the game is.
Hey, well said. Well said. Wyatt Law says this is a development season. I think we will stick with the young guys and rookies and not mess with signing a vet corner. By Thanksgiving, they won't be rookies any longer. Appreciate you, Wyatt Law, man. Always thank you for the comments, man. Exactly, and that's the final words, man. It was like last month. Suspension was handed out last week. There's not really too much to really go into it about, especially because we got a lot more football to talk about, especially if we're going to get into these 53-man roster projections here. But much love to you, Isaiah Rodgers, man. Get back up on your feet, learn from it. You're going to be playing football again soon, hopefully, and hopefully it's going to be on a winning team because, man, you have talent and it needs to be on the field on Sundays. So now, moving on, guys. This is exciting. I'm excited to get into this portion of the show because I already got the list down all the way. Okay. Spent about maybe 30 minutes before we did this show, getting all the names down and everything, and really just gonna be plucking from this as we go along. So who's ready to start projecting 53-man rosters, right? All right. Let's get it. Let's get it. Okay. Let's get okay. Hold on. Okay. Applause, please. Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's start with the quarterbacks, man. Let's start with the quarterbacks. All right. Anthony Richardson, we're gonna conceive, right? He should make the roster.
I think he's going to make the roster.
You think he's going to?
I think
Any objections, Marcus? You think he might be too slow? Might not, might struggle in preseason games?
Oh no, he's about to shake the room. He's making the roster.
Well, he might struggle in preseason games. I still think he
Oh
makes the
yeah,
roster.
I'm gonna be glued in for preseason, but they ain't gonna change my outlook.
Okay. So Anthony Richardson, the number 4 overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, obviously will make the roster. Gardner Minshew will make the roster. 1-year deal coming over from Philly with Nick Sirianni. Going to be the backup vet for Anthony Richardson, help him along with the playbook, help him along understanding the concepts, the reads, and all that stuff, helping him identify defenses, right?
Correct. I do agree that I think he will make the roster as well.
Marcus Dutton.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Gardner. I mean, that was my QB1 anyway. So my guy Gardner, he better make the roster. We got to get him on those. We got to get him on those tickets. You see that face? Ain't no way they getting rid of him.
Oh my gosh! You worried about the face? I'm worried about the flannel, right? The crop top. That's
you
what
look
I'm worried
good.
about.
You play good. Ain't that what they say?
Hey man, he's got a great face for like the front of a country album cover, right? So, but anyways, and here's my question because there's only one other quarterback on the roster, right? Sam Ellinger. Okay, he was part of the Frank Reich regime, thought to be just a body last year and get cut, but he showed something in preseason. He showed really good stuff in preseason. As a disaster of it as it was last year, he came in 2 games and showed some stuff. It was the regular season, right? As miserable as it was, again, he came in at a miserable time. Me personally, now I need you guys' thoughts on this before we put him down or kick him out. Are you giving a roster spot to Sam Ellinger? I mean, he's still a young guy going into the 3rd year of his rookie contract. So if Gardner Minshew bounces for maybe a starting job next year, you have insurance, especially a guy who is mobile, who is very intelligent, by the way, a very smart football player, learned with Gardner Minshew. Where do you guys stand on this? Marcus, let me start with you.
So here's my thing. I do think Sam Ellinger. I think he's going to be like maybe a practice squad type of quarterback. I do think he can get called up to another roster, but I think the Colts are pretty much set with the quarterback position with Gardner and Anthony Richardson. So I don't know about the whole 3 QB thing if they can get that running, but I do see him like being practice squad available if anything. But any team can pick up Sam Elliott at any moment because he did show signs of progression and some type of ability to escape the pocket and create off the fly. So I do think he can make the roster, but I don't know if he can make the final 53 for the Colts.
So here is something that might have kind of like slid under the radar through the offseason, which I don't know if you guys know about or not. So a rule was passed at the owners' meetings that you are allowed to keep a 3rd quarterback on the team that does not count towards your 53-man roster. So while I would put Sam Ellinger in as not counting towards the 53, technically, he will be able to stick around and will be able to be a member of this team. So, yeah, I think Sam sticks around. I think he continues to develop while he won't count for a roster spot, which I think is awesome because as we've seen numerous times, quarterbacks can just drop like flies, especially this last season. So, most notoriously in San Francisco. So that rule was kind of implemented this offseason to kind of offset the losses of quarterbacks. So yeah, so Sam can stick around. He can be a member of the Indianapolis Colts. He actually does not. It's part of the rule. So they do not count towards your 53-man roster. You are able to keep 3 quarterbacks. The 3rd guy does not count towards the 53.
Bro.
It was just passed this offseason. So I think it's a fantastic rule. So
that went straight over my head. That went straight over my head, honestly. Okay, so I think so here's a new question. And if you guys in the comments want to give your opinion, give it, please. Is it a guarantee that Sam Ellinger is still a Colt by September? I think it is.
Yeah, For sure. I think he's shown enough to guarantee his spot. I don't know if anything about getting rid of him or anything of some sort. I think he does deserve a spot in India, sure. Especially with this offensive line, with this protection, anything can happen. So worst case scenario, throwing Sam in there for a few games. I think he's gonna have that Colt McCoy type of career. Colt McCoy never really had a solid starting position in his time in the NFL, but I think he's shown like he can win you a few games or hold you over until your main QB comes back. So I think he can have that type of potential for sure. I think he can stay on the spot for sure for Colts.
Yeah, and like just to clarify, so like you have 48 players on your active roster on game day, and you have 53 total. That includes, you know, players that are on the roster, and then you also have your practice squad guys as well. So what that means is Sam can make the 53, can become protected, all that kind of good stuff, but he can actually dress on game days as well and not count towards an active roster spot.
Yeah.
So you can dress three quarterbacks. They don't count. The third guy will not count towards any of your roster spots or anything like that. Um, so yeah, to me, I think Sam is a shoe in for that. I think he is a very valuable third quarterback, especially, for as smart as he is, the experience that, I mean, he played a lot of college football. He's played a lot of football. Now going into his third season in the NFL, very, very intelligent. It's almost like having another coach in the room. And you hear that kind of echoed a lot. So with Anthony Richardson, you want to keep guys like that around him that have that experience, that have played a ton of football, that are smart and can help him digest that information very quickly.
All right, let's move on here to the running backs. All right, got total about maybe 5 right now. I don't know how many they're going to carry, 3 or 4. We got Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, Evan Hall, Jake Funk. All right, so obviously, Jonathan Taylor, right? Jonathan Taylor's going to make it. Okay. Personally, okay, I think Evan Hall is going to make the roster. He's a 5th-round pick. Unless he absolutely just embarrass himself in preseason. Maybe he gets waived and gets brought back on or cut and brought back on the practice squad. Maybe. But Zach Moss and Deion Jackson, personally, this is just my thinking. You can't keep both. Can't keep both. You have to have a specialty running back. Jonathan Taylor runs the ball, very minimally catches it. Zach Moss runs hard. Deion Jackson runs hard. But who is the pass catcher in this group? Out of this group, who is it? Naheem Hines is gone. Traded him last year. Who is the pass catcher? I think Evan Hall has to be in this roster spot. Yes, that's what he was drafted for. That's what his specialty was. Running hard, catching the ball out of the backfield at Northwestern. Even as sorry of a team they were, he was catching the ball and he was getting some of that yak. All right. So to me personally, I think Hall is already Taylor and Hall. That's your 2 guys right now. Who is the third? Who are you choosing out of Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, Jake Funk, as it stands right now, bearing any other moves in the future? Landon, let's start with you.
Yeah, so going back to because really I'm trying to base this off of what Philadelphia did last year, and obviously because Shane Steichen's coming from that offense and he'll carry a lot of this similar philosophies. So they did keep 4 running backs last year in Philadelphia, and the way I look at it, this team is not going to be a team that throws the ball a lot this year. This is going to be a very run heavy offense. We know the attrition that comes at that position. So I very strongly see them keeping 4 guys in the running back room. And obviously Jonathan Taylor is the shoe in. He's going to make the roster. So then, like you said, you have Evan Hall, you have Deion Jackson, you have Zach Moss. And I think they'll round out the other 3. So I think that's a really solid 4-man rotation where all 4 of those guys will make this roster. Just because of one, I think the way they're going to play this year, because they're going to run the ball a lot with Anthony Richardson, with Jonathan Taylor. That's going to be the engine of everything this this offense does, at least for this season. I don't expect, them to just throw Anthony Richardson out there and have him start throwing 35, 40 passes a game. I just don't see it. So, yeah, I think to me, they keep 4 running backs, and Evan Hull I think he's a do-it-all guys. I think Deion Jackson as well really showed that he can make plays in the passing game as well. And I think that's something that Jonathan Taylor is really going to kind of expand on in his role as well. So you have Zach Moss, who's kind of more of like the bruiser, can get you the tough yardage along with JT. But then I think you also have 3 guys there with JT, who has underrated hands, as far as that goes. And Deion Jackson and Evan Hull, I think, are both fantastic options coming out of the backfield in the passing game. So I expect all 4 of those guys to make the roster.
Yeah, I can concur with that situation. I love, as you guys may know, since last preseason, I've been on the Deion Jackson wave for a very long time, and I've been watching him, like his ability to get open and do both things. He's shown those flashes of being like available, and he's just one of those guys that can pretty much do just as much damage as Zach Moss. So if I had a choice, I would choose Jackson over that situation if they were to get rid of one of them. I do think Hall can make the roster for sure. That's no question. But if they had to choose between Zach Moss or Deion Jackson, I would bang my dollar or bang the gavel on Deion Jackson to make that roster spot. And Zach Moss was very impressive last season when he had his chance to show out there. He was aggressive, he ran hard, and that's what the Colts is missing. So I wouldn't knock it for him making that spot. But if I had my choice, what you guys asked, I would choose Deion Jackson.
Hey man, for funsies, and again, this is the point of it. Let's revisit this conversation at the end of the show. For right now, I'm gonna pencil in Deion Jackson. It sounds like all 3 of us love Deion Jackson a little bit more than Zach Moss. So let's come back to Zach Moss. If there's room on the roster, we can talk about those other spots where you really gotta talk about, okay, what are you gonna prioritize? Who's better at special teams, so forth and so on. So right now we're at 8 players. Okay, where I'm also including the 3 specialists: Matt Gay, Rigoberto Sanchez, Luke Rhodes. Already Sancho. Did I say Sancho's? Oh, Jesus. Sanchez. Okay, sorry, Rigo. Sorry, Rigo. I'm sorry. I'm Mexican. I'm over here saying nachos. Probably don't think about nachos and talking about Sanchez. But anyways, guys, let's head on over to the wide receivers here. The wide receiver room is a little looking promising, right? Let's go ahead and pencil in our obvious guys: Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. To me, those are the obvious. Ashton Doolin.
Yep.
Because who's going to play gunner? And also, I do want to see a little bit more downfield stuff with Ashton Doolin. I want to see a little bit more because that guy got some wheels. So we're at 4. We're at 4 guys: Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin. Left is going to be Juwan Winfrey, Mike Strawn, Malik Turner, Vincent Smith, Xavier Scott, Rashad Perryman signed earlier, I think in May, I think. Isaiah McKenzie in free agency, Johnny King, Ethan Ferreira, Cody Case. That's who's left. That's who is left. So when you're talking about who is 5 or 5 and 6, because again, are you going to keep 5 or are you going to keep 6? Landon, I'm going to let you start. You already got Pittman, Pierce, Downs, Doolin. Go to Landon, then we'll go to Marcus, obviously. Who are you going? Are you picking 5 or are you picking 6?
I'm probably keeping 5. I'm keeping 5 active on the roster. And to me, that guy's Isaiah McKenzie. That's the guy I'm targeting. Unless Mike Strawn finally realizes that potential and he just absolutely dominates, the next 3 months, then maybe it's a discussion. Rashad Perryman to me is more of a camp body. I don't really think, with them losing, oh gosh, it's blinking me. Somebody went down with just the injury. Or maybe it was just because, Pittman wasn't practicing, during OTAs. Josh Downs wasn't practicing during OTAs. I think Doolin was actually visited OTAs as well. So Pierce missed a little bit of time as well. So I think they kind of brought him in worked him out just to have some depth there at that position there in camp and all that stuff. And obviously, this is before camp, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm keeping 5 guys, and to me, those 5 are obviously the 4 that you named off with Pittman, Pierce, Downs, and Doolin. And then I think the 5th guy for me is Isaiah McKenzie because he does. They signed him to play that role of stretching the field and attacking the middle of the field with those drag routes and getting the ball in his hands as fast as he is. Those explosive shots. We see the video of Anthony Richardson from the other day throwing 65, just standing still. I mean, just 65 yards down the field like it was nothing, just the flick of the wrist. So he's a guy that can take advantage of an arm like that. So that would be where I'm going because I think Doolin can be your possession guy. I think Pittman's a possession guy. I think Downs is even more of a possession guy than he is just a straight burner. So I think you need another burner to go along there with Alec Pierce. And to me, that guy's Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah, I definitely can, attest to Isaiah McKenzie over Bashar Perriman. I think Bashar Perriman's definitely been on a bumpy road since his injuries. He's been bouncing from team to team, can't seem to stay healthy. He does have a drop history as well. I definitely think they brought him in just for competition to see where he is, like health wise. But when you look at McKenzie, he is available. He is a guy, a speedster just like Perriman. So if you had to compare the two, you definitely will go with availability and the last stretch. I think McKenzie can definitely do just as good as Bashar Perriman. You don't go wrong with either option, but I think Perriman now is like more of a camp body, and I think McKenzie's more of a a go now. So I definitely would go with McKenzie over Perriman as a choice in my opinion.
Well, something even crazy about Isaiah McKenzie. So he's 5'8". His weight, what was his weight? 173 pounds.
I was about to say it wasn't that much.
Yeah. He's like a smaller guy.
Yeah.
5'8", 173. Him and Anthony Richardson, who is 6'4", 245, ran the same 40 times. That's absurd. So
that is crazy.
Yeah, we got robots.
Dude's hamstrings are on fire.
Yeah, pretty wild.
That's insane, bro. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's still almost like, dude, freaking Anthony Richardson. Like,
what a freak show.
I still don't know what we're gonna get this season.
He doesn't look normal in person either. He doesn't look normal. Like when you see him, he's like, "Do you know you were made in the lab?" That was my first thought when I seen him.
Bro, if you can, when you get down to training camp, you gotta stand by Anthony Richardson and really see how huge this.
Well, Landon shook his hand.
Oh my Lord.
Landon shook his hand. I was jealous. I was just over there like,
I got to congratulate him after he was drafted. A few minutes.
I think Landon said his hand was swallowed.
Yeah, and I've got big hands, so my hands I'm not working with Kenny Pickett hands over here. I think mine, like the last time I measured them, just because after the Kenny Pickett stuff, I got kind of curious, and I'm like, man, like how big are my hands? My hands were measured in at like 10 and like 10.2, somewhere around there. So like it's above the 10-inch range. So I've got pretty large hands, and his hands just like wrapped around mine. And I was like, man, this is a large individual, pretty tall dude. Obviously being 6'4". So yeah, I mean he's a big dude.
Hey man, good stuff. We always stain Anthony Richardson on this podcast. So back to the conversation here. So I think we're all in agreement. We're gonna go with 5 right now. I mean, of course, this is just projection. So we'll wait to see if Mike Strawn can get it together in preseason and show some stuff and make an argument for that 6th spot. But for right now, we're gonna stick with 5 and 5 receivers. Michael Pittman Jr., the Michael Pittman Jr., big baller, shot caller, $20 million man, #1 receiver, okay? Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin, Isaiah McKenzie. Let's move on to the tight ends here. Tight end is going to be a little bit interesting. I'm not going to lie. I think that's a position we're all going to be watching in training camp, preseason. Let's start off with a list of names here. Okay, we're going to start with Faroa Brown, Kylan Granson, Will Mallory, Andrew Ogletree, Caden Smith, and Jelani Woods. All right, so let's. Oh, Andrew Ogletree. Caden Smith, and Jelani Woods. All right, so let's. Oh, we also have Mo Ali Cox.
Yeah, I was gonna say you forgot somebody, man.
Okay. We also have Mo Ali Cox. All right. So let's go ahead and get down. I think we only have like one for sure guy, right? Jelani Woods.
I think Kylan. I think Kylan's got.
Kylan.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
Yeah.
that one. I like that one. I like
Yeah,
Branson.
Kylan's been putting in the work, so I
Can't
would
wait
think
to see what he's got.
Kylan, Jelani, and Ogletree.
That's
maybe Phillip
That's
Brown.
Marcus's twin. Every time
Yeah,
I see
That's
literally,
every time I see
literally,
Kylan Granson, I think of Marcus.
Oh
literally,
my gosh.
literally. He's just beige. That's all.
No,
Okay.
it's the haircut, the beard. Like, I mean, y'all
He
got
wants
the
to beat me so bad. He's my son for real.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we
you might be older than him.
So we got Jelani Woods, we got Kylan Granson, both of our specialty guys, right? Our downfield guys. Kylan Granson going to work underneath and, really get the ball closer to the line of scrimmage. And who knows, maybe this season we're going to see him expand farther into the seams, the out routes, all that stuff. But Jelani Woods is going to be the home run hitter type of tight end that we're going to have. Now it gets interesting because once those two come off, right? Once those two come off, it gets interesting because you still need a blocking tight end or two, maybe. If you're gonna be run heavy, as Landon said, you might need two. You might want to go two and continue to develop Jelani and Kylan in their blocking. So out of the blocking ones, you got Mo Ali Cox and Pharoah Brown. Those are the guys that can block. Even though
I think it's Pharaoh.
Pharaoh Brown, all right. Pharaoh Brown. Will Mallory, look, man, I got mad love for him. I think he's got potential in the receiving department. But did you see his freaking blocking drills at the combine? That brother ain't moving my little brother, okay? So that's not going to be a blocker. What?
Yeah, he's not a blocker. He's not a guy.
Yeah, he's not.
He gives effort, though. So, I mean.
Yeah, effort. Yeah, I give effort at work too. But do I suck? Yeah. So, Andrew Ogletree. Oh my God. Andrew Ogletree was really riding high, getting first team reps in training camp last year. No, we know that wasn't really that big of a hightail, right? So got first team reps last year. Unfortunately, got hit with a season-ending injury. He's going to be back. I'm excited to see him again. And then Caden Smith. Landon, let me hand the reins to you right here, man. Still need a blocking tight end. Is there a wild card number 4 you're thinking of? What's going on?
Yeah, well, first off, I just gotta put this up there.
Okay.
I'm just gonna show y'all here. Tell me that this dude does not look like Marcus.
Let's do it.
Come on, man.
Bro,
What we doing?
Marcus.
Come on,
Marcus. Hey, man, he ain't wearing the tank top.
He's even got the headphones on, bro. He's even got the headphones on.
Bro, Marcus, come back. That's what I'm talking about. What the heck? Hey, man, why weren't you?
What we doing, man? What we doing?
Marcus, why weren't you wearing? Come on now,
you know a Colts player on here.
You know it's tank top season. All right, Landon.
Sarah Brown is my tight end to keep. Oh, sorry.
I had to play a little bit. So going back, like I said, looking through Shane Steichen's offense, kind of what he likes to do. He loves to get tight ends involved. And in order to do that, you need a pretty decent sized tight end room. There's a lot of talent in this Colts tight end room, obviously. So the Eagles carried 5 guys last year. And I think the Colts are like similar to that, honestly. Like I think 5 guys like realistically could make this 53-man roster. And obviously Jelani is going to make that. I think, Marcus is going to make it on there too. So, and then that just leaves 3 spots there. So, I think Pharaoh Brown has a good chance, and he has shown promise as a blocker. He didn't have a really good season last year as a blocker whenever he was asked to be like the main guy doing the blocking. But whenever he's been asked to play like more of a complementary role as a blocker, he did make an impact in that position as well. So I think him. I don't think Mo Alley Cox is a guarantee to make this 53. I don't. So this, so I mean, like, I think if he can like finally live up to that massive potential he has, and they're gonna find out in camp, then yeah. But if not, I mean, he could get waived, and I think it saves him like $3 million or something like that. I'd have to look at the numbers, but
Hmm.
they would gain a little bit of cap space back from cutting him as well. Um, and then who are the other names that you listed there?
We got Moali Cox, Pharaoh Brown, Will Mallory, Andrew Ogletree, Caden Smith.
Gotcha. So Ogletree to me is really intriguing, like
Mhm.
because he was dominating out in camp last year. I mean, like he was putting it on dudes last year, and we saw like early on in the season, this defense was a really good defense, and he was exposing a lot of people last season in camp before that injury. So if he can come back and be even like remotely the same guy he was with the same athleticism, I do think he makes this 53. I do because
Hey,
he was that good in camp last year. And if he can continue that trajectory, I would have him out there. Um yeah, Mo, man, for now, I'm gonna say yes, he will make this 53 just because this is a really young tight end room. Like it's still really young. And they do need, they brought Farrell Brown in, who you can consider a vet technically. Who's I mean, he's still kind of a young player, but um he would be more of the veteran guy. Him and Mo Alley Cox would be the two veteran guys in this room. And I think Mo for sure would be the vet now. So I do think you need a guy with some more experience, to go along with Jelani Woods. But um, yes, I'm going to say Mo makes this roster, and then I want to say
are you,
I'm going to say Will Mallory makes the roster too.
you're going with 5?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to go with 5 just because of what Shane Steichen liked to do last year, which was they ran a lot of tight end screens. I mean, obviously they're a very run heavy offense, and if you can have multiple tight ends come in, be extra blockers, run a lot of 13 personnel, that kind of stuff, and even transition some into the H back role. That fullback kind of hybrid, which I think Kylan Granson can do really well. Um, and even Will Mallory, I think, could
That
kind of play more of that role. So I mean, yeah, I would carry 5 guys, and I do expect them just because like it's going to be hard to part with a lot of these guys in this time just because of how talented they are. Like they're very young, they're very inexperienced, but I mean it's hard to part with talent, especially at a position where your new head coach really relies on heavily in his offensive scheme.
mhm.
And I mean,
And you're
yeah,
not in a competing season, so it gives you a little bit of less expectations of, okay, I can trot these guys out there. I can
yeah,
work with
and you
them.
could and
So,
you can more of have like Mo Alley Cox and Pharaoh Brown as kind of like the vets in that room to help lead these young guys. But then it gives you a chance to really see what you have with guys like Jelani Woods, with guys like Drew Ogletree and um, Will Mallory. You can really kind of see what they can really put out there as well while you're evaluating the younger guys.
Marcus, are you
Yeah,
keeping
I
5?
think yeah, I was gonna say when you look at what we got going on with the running back situation and the wide receivers, I think it's best to have more tight ends than those other positions as well. Especially when you look at the offensive line, definitely we're going to get into. I think we're going to definitely have a lot of tight end production this year for sure because we mentioned the new head coach and we mentioned Tom Manning as a tight end coach as well. I think all of those things pair very well, especially bringing in a young quarterback. I think it's going to be a lot of production from the tight end room because we didn't use the tight ends as we should have last year. I think we're going to see more production and an uprate in that position next year. So I think keeping guys like Amo Ali Cox to see what he can do when we finally get him more involved. Is he going to be able to catch the football? Kylan Granson and Jelani Woods, I think they're going to have a better production this year. We've seen a good usage rate last year. We've seen what Jelani Woods can do when we give him the football. We've seen the Kansas City Chiefs game. So I think we're going to see a good rate of these guys going into next year. And I think Farrell Brown is going to have a good blocking ability adding to that group. So for sure, it's definitely possible to keep 5 tight ends. I think it's a
All
good
right.
idea.
All right, I'm gonna roll with 5 tight ends. All right, I'm gonna roll with y'all. All right, so 5 tight ends. I'm gonna roll with them on the offense on the roster. So okay, that takes care of that. Jelani Woods, Colin Granson, Drew Ogletree, Mo Alley Cox, Will Mallory. That's the 5 we're gonna roll with. That's athletic, a lot of athleticism. Number 1, youth. Hey man, I'm excited. I'm excited. Get some youth in here. Stop being an old ass team. So now let's get into the offensive line. All right. Here's our obvious ones. Bernard Ryman, going to be your starting left tackle. Ryan Kelly, your center. Quentin Nelson, left guard. Braden Smith, right tackle. Question is, who's going to be your right guard this year? And then who's the depth? Who's your swing guys going to be? So let's go ahead and go through the list here, y'all. Let's go ahead. We got guys like Wesley French, Dakota Shepley, Will Fries, Emil Ekiori. I think that's your guy, Landon. I think that's yours.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce his name?
Emil Ekiori.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that to you. Arlington Hambright, Connor O'Donnell, Jr. Oh, okay. Connor O'Donnell, Jordan Murray, Matthew Vanderslice of cheese. I don't know. Matthew Vanderslice and Jake Witt, rookie Jake Witt. I think
Blake
Eastern
Freeland.
Michigan, right?
Blake Freeland. You missed
Blake Freeland, yes.
Yeah, rookie guy. So I do expect him to make this roster. So really, like when you're looking at something like this, you got to kind of like divvy it up between like tackles and guards, and like centers and stuff like that. So like normally teams will keep, obviously Ryan Kelly's going to be the center, but they'll have guys that can play guard and center, a little bit more. So,
They got Danny Pinter.
Yeah, so like I would put Pinter in that role, and then you'll have Nelson. I do think Will Fries will be at, as far as right now, is the starting right guard. So I think he's making the roster, and that gives you 3 guards and a center, and then your tackles. To me, you're going to end up having guys. You got Braden Smith, Bernard Ryman as your starters, and then I think Blake Freeland will be a guy. That's 3, and then I think you might want to grab like another swing guy, possibly, in there as well. So that'd give you 4 tackles, a center, 3 guards.
So of the guys available, are we gonna go with Will Fries?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
You think he's your starting right guard? I mean,
As a
I
right
know I know offensive line coach Sperano is very high on him.
Yeah, and I think he showed promise last year. There were a couple games like that there were a few, more than a couple. There's a few games that it was questionable in. But I think kind of like Bernard Ryman is like you kind of saw as the year progressed, you kind of saw him kind of grow into that role. And really for him, like the only question mark that I've had on him is just like the play strength and the anchor. And like, is he able to like really bully those guys in the middle, they're in the trenches, those nose tackles, those 3 techs, 1 tech guys. Is he able to really kind of impose his will? Because there was quite a few times where you saw him get walked back, and that was his big question mark coming out, was just his play strength, his base. So if he can improve on that with his athleticism, the arm length, all that kind of stuff, he's a smart dude as well. So I really do think like he can turn into a really good player there at right guard. So I do think for sure he makes the roster. And then I think Danny Pinter as well would be a guy I would put in there as well. Just having that guy that can play center, can play guard in case of emergency. And then Blake Freeland is another guy that I think for sure is going to make this roster.
So right now we're at 7. Bernard Ryman, Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, Danny Pinter, Braden Smith, Blake Freeland, and Will Fries. We adding 1 or 2 more? What are we thinking?
We don't have
to add a couple more, honestly. I mean, like, because I mean that's a position as well. Like it's going to be like we see it every year. Like there's attrition along your offense. Like you need to be able to go 9 deep, 9 to 10 guys deep. If you need to on an active roster.
So here's the question, because this is interesting now. Wesley French, do you want to keep French Fries? Do you want to keep that together? You got Jake Witt, maybe going to be a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
And then you got your guy, pronounce his name?
Emil Ekiori Jr.
Cure
Junior.
Jr. That's another guy. Maybe is he gonna push Will
Which he's
Fries
a
to
guy
that
that
right guard
has,
spot?
like, he also has like guard and center versatility. So he's a guy that
Yeah.
can play center and can play guard as well. But he was an undrafted free agent. While he was a priority undrafted free agent, they signed him like right off the bat and gave him a pretty decent sized contract. So I think for him, like, it was more of like the injuries kind of took their toll on him. But if he's over the injuries, like, I had a 4th round grade on him. So if you're comfortable with him, like, he's a super talented guy. Got really long arms.
It sounds like the debate is between, if you're going for another inside guy, Wesley French or Emil Ecure Jr. Which one of those two are you going to go with? Because I don't think, well, real quick, I don't think Connor O'Donnell is more like a tackle. Arlington Hambrick, Dakota Shepley, I don't think those guys are better than these two. So it sounds like for that last interior guy, versatility wise, sounds like the debate's going to come down to French versus Ecure.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I would take Emil just because of the physical tools that he has, and
Maybe that might show up.
yeah, I mean, like, if there's no injuries or anything like that, if you're like, he's cleared medically, I do think he is the more talented of the guys, of the two of those. So I would go with him, but he's also a rookie. We haven't seen him play. We haven't even seen him practice, so we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is early pre-training camp projections here. Marcus, between the two, French versus Ecure, who would you go with?
I think we will go with French. I don't know if he really had the
Ooh.
chance to actually show his stuff out there
Yeah.
last season because of the depth piece. But I think French will probably be the answer. But they're always going to get caught up because the offensive line drops like flies. So I think they both get a chance
Man.
eventually.
So we're at 1-1 right now. Feels like I'm the deciding vote here for one of these two.
You can't go wrong with either or because they
Yeah,
both need
you
to get a
really
legit
can't.
shot.
Ecure. Now, let me ask you this, Landon. If you were to go with French, do you feel like Emil Ecure is a guy that will make it back to you?
Honestly, that's tough. Because
That
he
is
was
tough.
like, he wasn't like, he was a priority for like a lot of, like, there's a lot of people that thought he would have been drafted in, like I said, like that 4th, 5th round. So anytime you let a guy like that become available, generally they get snatched up pretty quickly. And for them to give him as much money as they did to guarantee that he did come to Indy, obviously his hometown as well. So he's from Indianapolis, grew up here. So for him to come back home, yeah, I mean, I don't think he would. I think he would get poached off of your practice squad. But so really, it's like what you're looking at with those two guys, though, is like you're looking at the talent versus the experience. So French is
Yeah.
obviously going to have more experience, able to step in. He's played the position now in the NFL. This will be his 3rd season, I believe. So he's got 3 years. Well, while you look at like a guy like Emil, where he's just he's just a talented player with just some concerns.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with Emil. That's who I'm gonna go with because just like last year, remind me of his freaking name, and for some reason, it's getting away from me. The linebacker that got waived, that got cut and landed in Chicago.
Oh, Sterling Weatherford.
Sterling Weatherford. I don't know why I was thinking like Anderson.
Yeah,
something.
he was a safety.
Yeah, he was a safety
linebacker.
turned into a linebacker.
Safety linebacker.
Had a great training camp, had a great preseason, gets cut, and then doesn't even make it back to the Colts. Lands the waiver wire, gets claimed by the Chicago Bears. If that doesn't happen, that's another depth piece that you could have this season for a guy being out like Shaquille Leonard. That's another depth piece you could have, more talent. I don't want to run into that problem again. I want to go with the talent for right now. Again, we haven't gotten to training camp, haven't gotten to practice, haven't gotten to scrimmage. They're scrimmaging the Bears this year, right? The joint practices, the Bears. We haven't gotten there yet. We haven't gotten to preseason. I'm going to go with the talent. I'm going to go with the youngster. I'm going to go with youth because, again, you're not competing this year. You're evaluating your roster and you're trying to get talent in. So that's what I'm going to go with. Let's go ahead and we're finishing with 8 offensive linemen. All right, 8 offensive linemen. Now let's go to the defensive line. All right, defensive line. This is gonna look a little crowded. All right, little crowded here. Okay, just updating this count here. All right, now let's go to the defensive line. I'm assuming we're gonna go with the obviouses again. Let's go Buckner, Grover, Quiddy, Samson Ibukam. Those are the 4. Those are your 4 starters, obviously. Now, let me erase some of these guys here. So here's the question with this. Now that you got your starters on here, you got Quiddy, you got DeForest Buckner, you got Grover Stewart. Now it gets interesting. Because there is some talent, but there's also guys who have been selected in the draft, guys who came over. Updating this list here real quick. Sorry, y'all, bear with me. It's a lot to keep up with. All right, now, here's the next guys. You got 4 guys now. Now, let's get into the other guys. Adetomiwa Adeboare, that was your 4th round pick. Still don't know how he was available in the 4th round, but let's go ahead and put him there. Let's go ahead and put him as Tommy. Now, can't forget Dio. Can't forget Dio. Now we're at 6. Now it really gets interesting here. Okay, long ass name. Let me cut this down real quick. All right. Bang. Are we going with Eric Johnson? I mean, he was a rookie last year. I don't see why not.
I wouldn't go with him probably.
No? Landon, are you cutting away from him? He was just a rookie last year.
I think he's still like more of a practice squad guy at the moment.
Oh, okay. That is interesting to say the least.
But I do think
y'all outvoted me, so he is not making it. Okay. So now the names that we have left. Jannard Avery, obviously, was recently signed to free agency. Khalid Kareem, former Notre Dame Fighting Irish player. Rookie, drafted. Titus Leo, the small town school draftee, annual small town school draftee by Chris Ballard. Titus Leo, Tyquan Lewis returning on a 1-year deal. McTelvin Agum. I really liked McTelvin Agum in his draft process coming out of Arkansas. I really liked him. He kind of flamed out a little bit, but now he's here. I wonder what he's got to show. Taven Bryan, Eric Johnson, Caleb Sampson, Jamal Woods. All right, so right now, guys, we are sitting, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're sitting at 6 players right now. Obviously, you want to add more to that. Let's go break it down player by player. Jannard Avery. Are we going with him? Bet?
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I think he has a chance to make this roster.
Yeah.
I think you need, like, we know how Chris Ballard is. Like, he's going to value that defensive line above basically every position on the roster. And you need to have 10, at least 10 deep. Like, at least 10 guys deep.
That's why I was kind of questioning, like, you sure Eric Johnson won't make it?
I mean, I haven't seen him play. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
he got some run last year. He showed some solid things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm fine. Like, if you want to put him down, like that's fine. He definitely has a chance for sure.
Only because we know what to expect. There's going to be a lot of names on this list. Okay, so Jannard Avery's there. You got Khalid Kareem, Titus Leo, Tyquan. We're gonna go with Tyquan Lewis. We want to give him another run. Okay,
absolutely.
Tyquan, he is back. All right, we're sitting at 8 now. We're at 8 guys. We probably want to add another one, right?
You probably want to add 2 to 3 more guys, honestly.
All right, let's go. The Indianapolis defensive lineman. Here we go. Khalid Kareem, Titus Leo. Yo, you going with Titus Leo? Small town school coming in.
Not yet. I think he's a practice squad guy.
You think he needs to get a little bit stronger, hit the weight room, spend a year in the NFL weight room, and Okay. So he's gone. Taekwon Lewis is in. McTelvin Agum, Taven Bryan. You think Taven Bryan's a guy to watch?
He's very talented. I mean, he had talent coming out. I believe he was a first round pick for
Mhm.
Jacksonville, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So, I mean, yeah, he for sure has a shot. So, I mean, I'm fine. Like, if you want to throw Eric Johnson in there too, just to see what he has, like,
Okay.
I'm cool with throwing him in.
All right. So let's finish it out with
He's another guy that's
Bryan.
kind of got that like inside outside versatility.
Uh-huh. All right, let's go with Bryan and Johnson. Because again, the amount of defensive linemen Chris Ballard is going to keep. And again, Eric Johnson was on the roster last year, made the roster last year, was basically the number 3 off the bench, basically coming in behind Grover and DeForest, showed some good stuff. And again, he was a rookie. I think he has a quick get off on the line of scrimmage. He has a quick get off. If he can continue to, sharpen those skills, especially with his hands and everything, I think you got something there. So we're here with 10 defensive linemen. DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Kwity Paye, Samson Ibukam. Those are your starters. Then you got Adetomiwa Adebawore, Dio Odengbo, Jernard Avery, Taekwon Lewis, Taven Bryan, Eric Johnson. Bang! Let's go. Hold on. Sorry, guys. All right. Now let's move on to linebacker. Let's move on to linebacker, man. Let's get it. All right. Okay. So we know Shaquille Leonard is hurt right now. Probably will not practice. Probably will not play this season. Man, I don't know. But I don't see him being on the initial 53-man roster. Probably going to go on PUP to see where he's at, where he progresses throughout the season. So he won't make the 53-man roster. Now, with him gone, you're looking at Liam Anderson, JoJo Doman, Zaire Franklin, Donovan Martin, Cameron McGrone, Sagan Aljubi, EJ Speed, Grant Stewart. So now let's go ahead and go with the obvious here. And I think this is actually going to be pretty easy. Hold on. EJ Speed, right?
Yeah. EJ's gonna make the roster. Darius will make the roster. I think he plays, honestly.
You think he plays?
I do.
Oh. Marcus, you're the
If
deciding.
anything,
I say no. Landon says yes. You're the deciding factor. What's up with Shaquille?
he's gonna, even if he is hurt, but if he could walk, I'm pretty sure he's gonna play. We see him last year; he was playing 50%. So I will put him available.
So you're not gonna put him on PUP to start the year?
No, if he can play,
Well,
I'll
like,
put him out there.
he's been putting in a lot of work in like training and stuff too. So he's
All right.
Yeah.
So
And
Leonard's
my
going
other
on the list.
options, if we can choose 1 or 2 linebackers, I'm going JoJo and Stewart.
That's probably who I would go with as well. Out of those
Yeah, JoJo Stewart's definitely making it for special teams purposes. I mean,
Yeah.
you traded a 6th-round pick for him. So
And JoJo as well. He's going to be a guy that makes it just off
Yep.
of like special teams and then what he can kind of give you in like, that linebacker room.
Yep. And then
Well, undersized guy, but dude just makes plays.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mess with that hard. Let's go here. And I think we're good, right? We're good with 5 linebackers.
Absolutely. If not, we put Nick Cross right there.
All right. Okay. All right. So we got 5 linebackers. All right. Keeping count here. Keeping count of the roster. We're at 41 players right now, and that is including our specialists, guys, the 3 specialists. So we got 2 positions left, cornerback and safety. All right, cornerback and safety. Let's hit up corners. So obviously we talked at the beginning of the show, Isaiah Rodgers will not be playing, so which opens up a spot. So let's go again. Kenny Moore.
Yeah, I think corner is pretty easy, really.
Yeah. Brent, Rush. We want to put Flowers there, right?
Yeah, Dallas Flowers and Jalen Jones. I think both
Jalen
those guys.
Okay, I thought Jones may have been a fun topic question. Okay.
Nah,
all right.
He balled out. He balled out in OTAs.
Hey, Kenny Moore, Julius Brents, Darius Rush, Dallas Flowers, Jalen Jones. We're at 5. Now the guys left are Kevin Tolliver. I have heard good things about him. Kevin Tolliver, Darnell Baker, Tony Brown, Cole Coleman. Personally, I'm gonna go with Tony Brown to add the slot backup behind Kenny Moore, since the rest of the guys are gonna be working outside. Any hate or disagreement?
Now we like
Yeah,
Tony
this,
Brown.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like I like him fine, but I think they need another vet. They need to bring in another vet.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yes, I do believe they will, especially too. Like we got to remember, man, like you're gonna have all these cuts come down, especially in like August, like August, July. Like I mean, you even maybe in the beginning of September. I mean, we've seen
Yeah.
guys get released, a week before the season and ended up getting signed. So, and there's still a lot of quality DBs out there on the market. So, and they're just
Yeah.
waiting for camp to start, and all
It
that. So,
depends. Like, it depends, because are those vet corners wanting to come to Indy knowing they're not gonna go to the playoffs? They're not competing for a championship. I mean, unless they catch fire and do go to the
I mean,
playoffs. I'm not.
there's that, but there's also a chance, like especially guys that their value might have like diminished some last year. So you look at like
Uh-huh.
guys like Marcus Peters, you look at
Mhm.
Shaquille Griffin,
Yep.
which I don't know, is he still available?
I
Yeah,
believe
he's
so.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like he kind of had a down year in Jacksonville, and they could use this as an opportunity to see more playing time. And like you're guaranteed to get some run, especially if you come in such a young group. You'll get playing time if you perform well on a 1-year deal, prove it deal, and you're getting that playing time. You could really turn that into a lot more money next year, signing maybe a 3-4 year deal.
Yeah.
Even just
Get
a
one
multi-year
last
deal.
big contract.
Yeah, yeah, just one last bigger deal. So
Or maybe not even a bigger deal. Oh,
that's
sorry.
attractive. Yeah, that's attractive to guys. Just
Yeah.
knowing they can come in and like, there's a good chance they're gonna end up getting playing time just right off the jump.
And maybe not even a bigger contract, a better opportunity with the team competing for a
Because
championship.
who's your other outside corner right now? I mean, we're
I mean, you
assuming
got,
you're assuming it's Brent's, but it could be Rush. So I mean,
yeah, Brent,
yeah,
Rush, Flowers, and then Jones.
yeah, but I mean, like, so we know like at least one of those guys is going to be on the outside, but right, I mean that other outside role, I mean, that's just like right for the. I mean, that's perfect for a guy like Shaquille Griffin to come in and just immediately,
Personally,
like just be like, hey,
personally, for me, I'm not making no phone call to a vet. I'm just rolling with these young guys. And you got guys like Gus Bradley, you got Ron Miles, who is a teacher of all teachers at this position. I mean, you got those guys to lean
yeah,
on.
but there's a difference. There's a
Personally,
difference between like being in a locker room and having like your vet, like your. There's a difference between having like players that can compete, like as far as like coaching goes, and can help you learn the ropes,
talking with coaches on the sideline and being
and
on
as
the actual
opposed to
field with the vet
as opposed to like being just coaches.
and
Yeah, I
getting
think you still
called
want to
when you're out of
be.
place
I
and
think
stuff
you
like
still want to be competitive as well. Like bringing the young guys out there, but like even if you mention like not making the playoffs, you still want
Yeah,
to
because
like go
right,
out
like
there
I
and
mean,
fight.
you have Kenny, like that's it.
Right. That's
That
that. And
it.
he's a
that's it.
slot. So
Yeah, exactly. Like that's it. That's the only
So
guy you
you want to
have.
have
okay.
some type of
So
experience out there on the field.
so we have 5 guys. Do we want to reserve a 6th spot for just vet, whoever that might be?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go vet. All right. Hey, I'm not mad at it personally. I'm just saying, rookies, or saying to the puppies, go. Just unlocking the gate, not looking, and just saying, go. Get your stuff. Go. Go. That's how I'm wired, honestly. So let's go ahead and update this. Bet. All right. So now we're at safety. You already know what's going on at safety, guys. Let's put the man, the leader, the hawk of the defense, Rodney Thomas II. Rodney Thomas II. Julian Blackman. There you go. These are going to be your starting safeties, by the way. Forget what y'all talking about. Julian Blackman is making the switch to strong safety. Already been reported earlier in the offseason. Rodney Thomas is that man. Showed he's about that stuff. He don't have to just write 50 essays a day. He can also make some plays on the defensive end too. Julian Blackman, Rodney Thomas, Nick Cross. So that's 3 right there. All right. Now the guys who are here, there's a couple of them. Aaron Maddox, Marcel Dabo, Trevor Denbo, Michael Tuzzi, and Henry Black. Personally, I'm giving the last one probably to Trevor Denbo. Probably for special teams purposes. Although I am intrigued with Marcel Dabo. They did get him from that program overseas, right? They got him from that program. Still kind of there. We'll see what he does. But personally, Trevor Denbo did show some stuff last year, special teams wise. This is a special team spot, by the way.
Yeah.
Trevor Denbo would be my pick.
Yeah, I agree. That's who I would go with as well.
Yeah, Dembo for sure.
Man, not even a fight, a tussle, nothing. All right, Denbo. All right, so here's the interesting part about all this. We have 2 spots left. We're currently at 51 players. So are we going back to running back and adding Zach Moss?
I thought we already had him. I thought we had 4 running backs.
No, we had 3. Taylor, Hall, Jackson.
Yeah, Moss makes his roster.
Okay, so now we're at 52.
Do Moss and then unanimous decision, Mike Strawn, just because.
No, I think it's either offensive lineman or defensive lineman. And for me,
I think
did we keep French on there?
Yeah,
no.
I went with. Did I go with French?
No.
Yeah, because we chose. I would put French on there.
You would? I think that's a lot of interior guys. No, I don't think you have enough outside guys. You have Ryman, you have Smith, Freeland, and that's it. Are you going?
Yeah, because
Alex?
So you're gonna have Keyor, French, which were the 2 we were signing about. Then you'll have Fries, Ryan Kelly, Nelson.
Pinter.
That's 5, right? And Pinter.
Kelly, Nelson, Pinter, Fries, Acure. That's 5 right there. And then you have 3. Then you got 3
French,
tackles. Right? No, I didn't put French. Because that's what we were debating.
I think they keep 10 guys. So
you going French and Murray? You going with Jordan Murray or Jake Witt?
I think Jordan Murray would be the guy.
Yeah. Okay, so 10 guys. We only have 1 spot left. We're at 52. So I think you got to go tackle, no? The Murray guy?
Yeah.
Jordan Murray?
Yeah. I think they'll keep 10 offensive linemen.
Okay. So maybe we're off. Maybe we're off about that vet at the corner spot. I don't know. It probably is likely that they'll bring in a vet at cut down day. All right. Murray, here we go. That is it. We have completed the 53-man roster. Of course, pre-training camp. 53-man roster projection here on the Blue Stable Podcast. Let's go down the list. Quarterback. We went Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew. Sam Ehlinger will also be there, but like we stated earlier in the show, that 3rd quarterback spot will not count against your 53-man roster and will also not count to your healthy scratches on game day either. So Sam Ehlinger will be in uniform.
They can dress. Won't count towards the roster. They can dress.
There you go. And then running back, Jonathan Taylor, Evan Hall, Deion Jackson, Zach Moss. Wide receiver, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin, Isaiah McKenzie. Tight end, Jelani Woods, Kylan Granson, Drew Ogletree, Mo Ali Cox, Will Mallory. Offensive lineman, Bernard Ryman. Bernard Ryman, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, Braden Smith, Blake Freeland, Emil Ecure, Jordan Murray. Defensive linemen, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Quiddy Pay, Samson Ibukam, Adatamiwa Adabware, Dio Odengbo, Jannard Avery, Tyquan Lewis, Taven Bryan, Eric Johnson. Linebacker, EJ Speed, Shaq Leonard, JoJo Doman, Grant Stewart, Zaire Franklin. Corner, Kenny Moore, Julius Brents, Darius Rush, Dallas Flowers, Jalen Jones, and a vet that we reserved that spot for. Don't know who it is yet, but we anticipate a vet being brought in.
We'll just say for now, we'll just say Tony Brown.
Okay, Tony Brown. Safety, the Rodney Thomas, the second. Julian Blackman, Nick Cross, Trevor Denbo, and then your three specialists ironing out the list. Matt Gay, kicker. Punter, Rigoberto Sanchez. Long snapper, Luke Rhodes. Guys, this was fun. It was interesting to go down, but now we got to wait till training camp. Preseason has concluded to come back to this conversation. I'm going to keep hold of this list, actually, and see how accurate we were when it comes to the final cut down day. I'm going to hold on to this right now. I'm going to hold on to it.
If I could make one change on it.
What's up?
I would probably cut Jannard Avery off of it and put Wesley French in on the offensive line.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Show
so
French
you're officially, because you were at number 9, now cutting Avery, adding French, you'll be at 10 offensive linemen and 9 defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how.
Hey, I like it. I like it. Getting creative.
Look, they need all the offensive line help they can get.
Right? They don't need to get into another freaking Matt Pryor situation. Not even that, but injuries happen on the offensive line.
And I do think French is a more talented player than Avery is. So
there you go. And plus, you still got Quentin Nelson getting back healthy, finally had a healthy offseason. Ryan Kelly has dealt with stuff. Braden Smith has dealt with stuff. You just got to make sure you have depth and insurance. Yeah, you got to make sure you have insurance on the offensive line, especially
a guy 4 overall. You need to keep.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Well, thank you to everybody who is watching or listening, whether if it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever the case may be. We are back. We are better than ever, guys. I am Michael Pivia. He is Marcus, a.k.a. Culture Shock. He is Landon Oliver from Kentucky. Hey, let's get it. So, guys, it has been fun. I am so glad and happy to be back, if that was not obvious on this show and in my voice. So, other than that, guys, keep a lookout. We are sending the Blue Stable up, down, up. No, I'm in Texas. So, up to training camp. We are sending the guys there. We are happy to be there. And Marcus over here with a pale face on his look. Wow, I literally said that backwards. A pale look on his face, dude. Let's go ahead and log off, man. I'm over here getting too zealous. So, Landon, Marcus, any other closing remarks? No.
Let's go. Let's go, Colts. Training camp.
No, I'm just ready. Like, I'm ready. This like July is the last month that we do not have football on Sundays. Like, this is it. Once we get through July, in August, preseason starts. September, the real game starts. Mm-hmm. We'll start having football again next month. We're 1 month away. We got football again. I'm never one. I know, as always, I'm a little bit older than you guys. I'm never one to wish time away, but I'm ready for this next. I'm ready for July to be over with.
There you go.
It's the most boring month, man. There's no NBA, no NFL, no hockey, no.
Everyone's on a vacation.
Cardinals suck at baseball. I don't want to watch baseball. Baseball doesn't exist to me right now. So
Marcus's Rockets is taking on freaking Dylan Brooks for $80 million.
I'm more upset about the Fred VanVleet deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, y'all gave Fred VanVleet.
You're more upset about Fred VanVleet than freaking Dylan Brooks $20 million annually.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Fred VanVleet was more expensive than Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, that says a lot.
Insane.
He's also not a head case either. So.
Oh, that's true. He is a pretty stand-up, good leader, solid voice in the locker room. Hey, man, I'm not. Hey. It's been an eventful July for a Mavs fan thus far, okay? So, but other than that, guys, we are 2 months away from Landon being able to continue some NFL draft scouting. Ain't that right?
Finally. I've actually started a little bit. I've been watching.
There you go.
Guys, so.
But now you're gonna have fresh and new
content. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it's tough like going back last year because now you got guys like for example, like Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a pretty good football player. So
Pretty good.
I like watching him play. But
Might be a legendary college football player next year. Who knows?
Chance he could
Hey,
be
man.
wearing blue.
There's a chance. Here we go, guys.
So,
We're almost there. We are almost there. I'm excited for NFL, college football. I'm excited for it all, man. We will see you guys next week as we come back for the Blue Stable podcast, guys. Let's get everybody out of here already. We're talking too much already. Guys, love you. Thank you. We're back. We're happy. Go Colts. Let's gear up. See you guys.